G'day guys, welcome back to another video. This one's not one of our travelling videos, it's more of a gear video. I've been trying to film it for a while and haven't had much luck so far, so I'm hoping this time I'm going to actually get it done. The reason for the video is this. This is our new video camera. Now, we can't afford the nice big cameras that you see on you know which channels. We get these ones, which is really just like a little prosumer, I suppose you'd call them, which is a crossover between a cheapy video camera and something that can produce pretty good content if you use it properly. Now, the one I'm filming this on is our old Panasonic, and we've done some reviews and looks at that in the past, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but I will talk about the differences between that and this, because even though this is a new camera and costs almost twice as much as the old camera did, there's some things about this I'm not terribly happy with. I don't have a lot of choice because there's not a lot around that's any better. So I'm going to go through some of the features of this that really do need some discussion for anybody who's thinking about buying a new video camera. I know a lot of people are doing their videos on DSLRs these days, and I just cannot get those to work. I don't like them. For video, I want dedicated video gear. It just works better. So this is a Panasonic HV V785. The F1 is telling you that it can do that. There is just a VX model that doesn't have this on the back. It's pretty similar in other respects, but it doesn't have the eyepiece. Now, the reason for the eyepiece is when you're filming out in bright sunlight, having the little flip screen open can sometimes be a real pain. You just cannot see because the sunlight is so bright. You cannot get a good view of what's on that. So just being able to pull that out, flip it up and put it to your eye will allow you to see a lot better in bright sunlight and be able to pick out what subject you're looking at. Whereas sometimes with that side screen open, it just doesn't work very well in very bright sunlight, and of course, being in WA, we get a fair bit of that. So I'm going to stop blabbing on now, and we'll get into having a quick look at the differences between this, which is just sub $1,000, and the old one that I'm filming this on, which was about $500 when I bought it. The reason for changing over, nothing really to do with the quality of the old camera, except for the fact that it's got an intermittent fault with its autofocus, and I can't have that. If I'm filming, I have to know that what I'm filming is going to be in focus. And anybody who watches the channel regularly will have seen probably a heating video. It was about a year ago now, and the old camera just went straight out of focus when it was on my face. And well, can't have that when you're filming. You've got to have something that's reliable. So I'm still going to use the other one. It still has its place, but this one hopefully is going to do a better job. It's a 4K camera, as you can see probably on the side there, but I don't film in 4K. I didn't buy it because it's a 4K camera, and I'm not going to film in 4K. HD is good enough, and I don't see any reason at all to move to 4K. It blows your processing time up. It takes up a hell of a lot more space on disk. I just don't want to go there. So we're going to still be filming in HD for this, which is 1080. And let's have a look now and see what some of the differences are between these two cameras. The first problem we've had with the new camera was setting the microphone volume level. With the old camera we could use auto, but with this new camera we've definitely got to set the decibels right down, and I set it to about -27 to get anything like a reasonable sort of recording from it. Following is just a very brief example of what happened when it was set to auto. G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can tell, the recording was really blown out badly, so the auto mode is practically useless when it comes to the new camera and using the little Rode Video Micro that we used to use on the old video camera. One thing I wasn't happy about with the older camera
was the location of the port for plugging the microphone in. It was behind the screen, and the screen actually stuck out, as you can see, when the microphone was plugged in. And that, I think, potentially could have led to damage. With the new camera, the microphone port is placed on the other side of the camera, and I think that's much, much better. Another plus for the old camera was the fact that you could get a proper lens hood for it. We opted for a flower style, and unfortunately with the new camera, these just don't seem to be available. We contacted Panasonic, who said they don't make them, and we can't find a third-party one. I think another positive for the old camera was the fact that the SD card was underneath, where it was easily accessible. With the new camera, it's underneath the LCD screen, and that means that the camera is going to turn on as you take the card out. I don't like that idea, because with the power on, I think the card is much more likely to suffer some kind of damage as it's removed from the camera. With the old camera, the cold shoe mount was right at the back of the camera, and this was very handy for attaching microphones and perhaps even a light. But the new camera, unfortunately, has the cold shoe right in the middle of the camera. That's a bit of a problem, because there's some things you can't even mount properly. And as you can see here, with the microphone low on the camera, it's right in the way of where you want to put your fingers. Thankfully, we found a solution to this from Yalangu. It's a 3-way adapter for cold shoes, and that means not only can we easily get a microphone on top, we can add light to it now as well. It's also great for mounting the Rode Wireless Go 2 microphone system, and here you can see the receiver in place on top of the camera. Of course, the reason you can't have the cold shoe mount at the rear of the camera on the new model is the fact that it's got the eyepiece, and having an eyepiece is actually finally a plus for this new model. The 3-way cold shoe adapter definitely does give you more options when it comes to mounting gear on top of the camera. As you can see from these shots, it's possible to mount a light and a microphone and still have room to spare. So we think this could be quite a big positive in the end. One of the real positives for the new camera is of course having the eyepiece, and that's going to make filming outside quite a lot more enjoyable. It's one of the reasons we decided to get this particular camera in the first place. Now, another bit of a disadvantage for the new camera, unfortunately, is the fact that there's no internal light. With the old camera, there was a light. Even though it was fairly minimal, it was bright enough, and it was very useful to have in certain situations. It was great for it to be there simply because you couldn't forget it. You couldn't leave it in another camera bag, or you couldn't have another set of batteries going flat on you when it wasn't being used. Now, because the new camera really hasn't had a lot of use yet, it's a little bit difficult for me to make any final conclusions. But there are some real disadvantages with this new camera when compared to our old one. I think in a lot of ways there are some big backward steps by Panasonic when they produced this new camera. Now, of course, if you want 4K, you're going to want to have a camera that can shoot 4K. But in our case, that's not an issue. So a big advantage that may exist for somebody else really doesn't exist for us. There are so many advantages to the old camera and not really that many disadvantages compared to the new one. So I've got to say overall that right at this moment I'm a little bit disappointed with the new camera, especially with the fact that the auto volume leveling for the microphone is so completely and utterly useless. That is something you're really going to have to watch out for if you buy this VX-F1 camera, because if you go off filming and it's set to auto volume leveling, you'll come back with a completely ruined soundtrack. Now, there is going to be a way around that if I do forget it, and that's something that's going to be coming up in another video, because as part of the new system, we decided to get the Rode Wireless Go-To microphone, and that will actually back up your audio track. So it will record a second audio track on the transmitters, as well as sending your audio track through to the camera. But that's going to be in another video, because I think this one's actually run quite long enough now. And I guess that's it for now. So hopefully you found something interesting here, and something to think about if you're going to buy a camera. And we hope to catch you back here again next Saturday. Cheers for now, guys. See ya.